Hello, this is Ray from R&R Golf in Quincy, Illinois, and this is brand new golf balls, the 2014 Strixon Marathons. Normally they're $15.99. Now you can buy 2 dozen, 2 for $25 here at R&R Golf.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I want to start off by acknowledging a couple very important people in the room today. We have Marcel Wagner with Greta here, and we have Amy Luton with the Chamber of Commerce. We did invite State Senator John Sullivan and State Representative Jill Tracy, but they have a very important job to do in Springfield today as they're still in session. So we do thank them for their efforts on this, and you'll learn more about that in a minute. We have the 2 individuals behind me are with Northwest Illinois Holdings, and we have Ari Marilis right there, and we have Mr. Steve Kaufman. And I'm sure you can get the spelling of their names a little bit later in private interviews. But I want to first start out by marking this date. You know, 1 year ago today, I was lucky enough to be sworn in as mayor of Quincy. And it's been the biggest honor of my life to serve as mayor of the city I love. And I definitely think when you look back at the year that we've had, it's been a very exciting year, and we've been able to accomplish a lot. You know, when I ran for mayor, I did so with a specific agenda that I wanted to accomplish. And first and foremost, talked about implementing a performance-driven city of Quincy that began with listening to constituents. And if you look at this past year, we've had 2 town halls, various forums on garbage and recycling, 3 lunches in the park with the mayors, 3 contractors' hours, and in just 1 year we've had over 600 of our constituents participate in our city government. And as part of having a performance-driven city of Quincy, I talked about implementing a Quincy scorecard where we measured the things that were important to our constituents, such as how long does it take us to cut down a tree, how long does it take us to fill a sidewalk, what's our city's financial position. And you can go online right now and look at the Quincy scorecard under the mayor's page. That will be updated next week, hopefully, with our first year's data. And so now you'll be able to look from years 2, 3, and 4 at our improvements in our service and what we've been able to do for you guys. Also talked about doing long-range planning. Talked about implementing a 5-year comprehensive infrastructure plan, a 5-year strategic budget. And as you know, last week the City Council passed our budget by a vote of 13-1 that included a 5-year comprehensive infrastructure plan and a 5-year strategic outlook. But the reason that I ran for mayor of Quincy was to improve our economic outlook. And you know, from day one, I took the mayor's office as not taking a back seat to economic development. And so my first quarter in office, I personally went and visited 50 of our largest employers in town. You've seen some of the results that we've had by that. You saw the announcement on 2nd Street, redoing 2nd Street from Maine to Hampshire, a partnership with Coal Wholesale that is a $430,000 redevelopment of that street, where the state of Illinois is paying for half. Coal Wholesale is paying for lighting for that, and that will mean 22 full-time jobs will be hired from Coal Wholesale thanks to that project. Worked with Greta and the Adams County Board to do the first annual survey of our business climate in our area, and we're going to release a second survey here this next year, and so I've been working with them so we can kind of see what our strengths and weaknesses are. But certainly we can't stop with what we've accomplished in the first year. And one of the big things about being mayor is you have a lot of projects that are left on the table that you need to get accomplished. And the big project that I had when I came into office was the Newcomb Hotel. And I kind of had two lines of thinking with the Newcomb, is that first and foremost we wanted to continue on with legal proceedings with Victor Horowitz and try to get the control of the property and try to foreclose on that. But we also went through a vigorous RFP process to try to see what some of the interest is in that property and with that concept that Victor Horowitz was proposing. And we started that, again, my first quarter in office. If you'll remember, Victor Horowitz was proposing at 400 Main Street a supportive living facility that was a $3.5 million project, hiring 44 individuals. Now, he was able to do this with a supportive living facility license that was granted to him by the state of Illinois. The challenge that we had was that the supportive living facility licenses are regulated by the state, and so there are only so many that go around. The challenge that we had is the supportive living facility certificate that was given to Victor Horowitz was set to expire in December of 2013. So if we did not have any movement on the property, we were most likely going to lose that investment opportunity in our town, lose those construction dollars, and lose those jobs that was proposed by Victor Horowitz. As part of the process for the Newcomb, we gauged interest in the property and in the project. And as part of that, since last May, we've been talking with individuals from the Northwest Illinois Holdings Company. They came to Quincy last summer, fell in love with the community, and really said that while they didn't think 400 Main would work for their project, what they had in mind, they thought that our town could support another supported living facility. And they went ahead and did their own market study, and their market study confirmed that we could have another supported living facility. And so they had a very specific request from State Senator John Sullivan, State Representative Jill Tracy, and myself, that we do whatever we can to get that supported living facility license not only extended past 2013, but transferred to Northwest Illinois Holdings. And it is my pleasure to announce to you today that the state of Illinois did grant that extension and did transfer that to Northwest Illinois Holdings. And because of that, this Northwest Illinois Holdings company is going to invest in Quincy. They are proposing to open a $10 million supportive living facility on the corner of 48th and Main. This project will have construction dollars over $10 million, will be around 85 units, and will employ around 30 to 40 individuals in our community. Now, the important thing when we're talking about this is to know that no incentive dollars are being given by the city of Quincy. So this is just a company that sees the value in our community, that wants to be a partner in our growth, and has come down here and is going to invest in our community. And I think that says a lot about the state of our economy in Quincy, Illinois. Before with the Newcomb, most likely in other places it could be in an enterprise zone, which meant that construction dollars would not be taxed for sales tax. This will be applicable to sales tax, also property taxes. And so the return on the investment in this is twofold. And so I know there's been a lot of heartache over the Newcomb Hotel. Certainly we've had my lifetime, essentially, of setbacks with this. But it can't be lost on the citizens of Quincy that this project would not be possible had it not been for the Newcomb Hotel and had not been for the original proposal by Victor Horowitz. And I want to say thank you to Senator John Sullivan and State Representative Jill Tracy. This was a wonderful example of representatives from the state and your local governments working together in a bipartisan way to get something accomplished for our region. Our staff at Planning and Development, Chuck Bevelheimer, probably can tell you more about the Newcomb than anybody in town, and has had his share of dealings with it, and he's really been key behind the scenes to get this worked out. Our legal department, there was a lot of negotiations with Victor Horowitz back and forth, and our legal department worked hard to make this happen. And certainly, and most importantly, I want to thank Ari and Steve for their commitment to the city of Quincy. I'm so happy that you guys are partners in our resurgence, and I know that we had our first conversations, I believe it was the 23rd of May of last year. So this is a long time coming, but I know that in the end people will see that this will be a valuable part of that corner on 48th and Main. Now, there is one thing that needs to happen. Alderman Havermale and I worked with the residents in Lexington, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, to rezone some of the property at 48th and Main. And this, the sale of this land is contingent upon rezoning of a parcel of land. The land right now is zoned in R1 and would go to R3, and that will be on the Plan Commission's agenda in June. The alderman and I have met with the neighbors that would be affected by this, and certainly had conversations, and they'll have opportunities to talk at the Plan Commission meeting in June. But when you look at that corner, you look at there's another facility just like this. I think this is a good footprint to leave in the area, and will match kind of the neighborhood, the integrity of the neighborhood. So with that being said, I want to give the floor to Steve Kaufman with Northwest Illinois Holdings. He'll take any of your questions and kind of tell you a little bit about what they do. So thank you very much, guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Kaufman. I'm with Northwest Illinois Holdings, and partner Ari Mirlis is behind me. We've been in the business of senior care now, combined for probably about 75 years. We have experience in the nursing home, which is a skilled component of senior care, assisted living with Alzheimer's, as well as supportive living and independent living. And our proposal is to bring to Quincy, as Mayor has stated, another supportive living for the community, one that has come, through our markets to be very positive for the area. And we provide a very nice and upscale building. It will be a multi-story building, probably 2 stories. We'll have approximately 80 to 85 units in the building. And as the mayor mentioned, we'll be hiring between 30 and 40 people from your community to work in our building. Okay. Are there any questions you have for me direct or for Ari? We'd be more than happy to answer them for you about what we do or the building itself or anything like that. Yes, sir.
You were looking at the facility before it burned, you decided to start with the burn.
Before it burned, yes. The building, the way it was brought to us by the original license holder for supportive living, it was going to be roughly a $3.5 to $4.2 million renovation. We went through it, and I think we went through the truck the first time, and it was in, obviously quite, disarray, and we figured it was going to be at least 2 to 3 times that. And I think we're pretty accurate on that, maybe more. And so we don't want to spite the community for what we think is a necessity, which is another supportive living facility. We came to the city to help support another location for us, which is at hand. 16. They're all in Illinois, and they're a combination of skilled care, assisted living with dementia care, as well as other supportive livings. Galesburg, Pontiac, and Genesee are the other 3 supportive living facilities that we own and operate. As far as the pay component side, good question actually. Supportive living is a component of private and public aid, meaning that, and there's several great parts to it. People who are on private pay can obviously move in and afford it. And then we have people who are private pay who move in, and since we're all living longer, or some, that you will outlive, or people outlive their current financial means, so they don't have to move. And currently, if you're in private assisted living, you'd have to go from there to a supportive or to a nursing home where they offer a public aid component. In our arena, where supportive living is still an option for an individual, they can stay there even after run other funds. So we have both as part of it. And there's people who move in there who don't have the means first, who can now move in there. And well, you have another supportive living community, residence here, but if you didn't, their only option would be into a Medicaid bed at a nursing home. So that has opened the opportunity for people who don't have the funds now. They can live in a different environment than skilled care. Well, we're going through the process right now, which is part of financing. The city, as the mayor mentioned to you, we would like to still be able to get in the ground this year. If we do, it's going to be later this year. And it's probably looking about, if I had to be safe, depending on weather, you're looking about 12 months, 10 to 14 months for construction. So our goal is hopefully by either late 15 or early 16. But, you got to see how things go. But that is the game plan. You got to figure for construction and everything about 12 months. But I know our architect can crank out plans in about 3 weeks, so it's going to be really easy.
And so we know you're working with the architect.
Tony, yes, absolutely. A combination of things. The mayor was very influential in helping us get that license in our hands, if you will, and out of the past owner. We had met with the owner twice before actually coming down here to Quincy. And, it's hard to speak for him, but it was a rough situation for him. And I'd rather dwell on the fact that, the state, knows us. They're happy with our care that we find our other 3 facilities, and they immediately granted us that license. So it is currently under our name and our ownership. So we're going forward with that. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you.